I had spent years planning the perfect future, never once imagining that the two people I trusted most would rip it all away from me. Emily and I had been together for 5 years, and I was convinced she was my soulmate. I worked extra hours, took on freelance projects, and cut back on luxuries so I could save for the wedding of her dreams. I wanted to give her everything, a fairy tale beginning to our forever. Jake, my best friend since childhood, had been there every step of the way. He was the one who helped me pick out the engagement ring, the one who hyped me up when I was nervous about proposing, and the one who swore he had my back no matter what. I trusted him like a brother. Looking back, the signs were there, subtle but present. The way Emily and Jake exchanged lingering glances, the way she suddenly became secretive with her phone, the way Jake would brush off my excitement whenever I talked about wedding plans. I ignored it all. I refused to believe that the two people I loved most could betray me. Then one night, everything came crashing down. I had planned a surprise for Emily, an impromptu weekend getaway to celebrate hitting my wedding savings goal. I left work early, eager to tell her the news. I picked up her favorite flowers, a bottle of wine, and headed straight to her apartment. The door was unlocked. I stepped inside, smiling to myself, ready to see the look of surprise on her face. But the surprise was mine. There, on the couch, the very same couch where we had spent countless nights planning our future, was Emily and Jake, tangled together in a way that made my stomach churn. They didn't even notice me at first. I stood frozen, my brain refusing to process what my eyes were seeing. It wasn't until I let out a sharp breath that Emily turned her head, eyes going wide with shock. "Wait, this isn't what it looks like," she stammered, scrambling to cover herself. Jake didn't say a word. He just stared, guilt written all over his face. But no excuse could undo what had already been done. I felt my entire world shatter in an instant. The dreams, the love, the trust, all of it crumbled like ash. I dropped the flowers onto the floor, the petals scattering like broken promises. Without another word, I turned and walked out, slamming the door behind me. That night, I didn't sleep. I didn't cry. I just sat in my empty apartment, staring at the engagement ring I had worked so hard to buy, realizing that the future I had been saving for had never really existed at all. The days that followed felt like a blur of heartbreak and rage. I quit my job, packed a bag, and left town without telling anyone. Staying in that place, surrounded by memories of them, would have destroyed me. I needed a fresh start, a new purpose, anything to keep me from drowning in betrayal. I moved to a city where no one knew me. At first, it was just survival mode. I found a job at a tech company, pouring all my time and energy into work. Late nights turned into early mornings, and slowly, success followed. My dedication didn't go unnoticed. Within a year, I was promoted. 2 years later, I took a risk and started my own business. At first, it was just a side project, developing software for small businesses, but it took off faster than I expected. Before long, I had a team, an office, and contracts with major companies. The money I had once saved for a wedding now went into investments, real estate, and building the kind of life I had never imagined possible. The pain of Emily and Jake's betrayal never fully disappeared, but it became a distant echo rather than a sharp wound. Time had hardened me, turned me into someone stronger, more self-reliant. I no longer needed validation from anyone. I dated casually, but never let anyone get too close. I told myself I was fine with it. That love was just a distraction, a weakness I couldn't afford again. But deep down, I knew the truth. I had been burned too badly to trust anyone again. Then one evening, everything changed. I was at a networking event, shaking hands and making small talk, when I heard a familiar voice behind me. "Wow, is that really you?" I turned around, and there she was, Emily. She looked different. Older, somehow, though only a few years had passed. Her once bright eyes carried something else now, regret, desperation, maybe even shame. But I wasn't the same man she had betrayed. "What do you want, Emily?" I asked, keeping my voice cold and detached. She hesitated, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear, the way she always did when she was nervous. I saw your name in an article. I had to see you. You look amazing. I didn't respond, just studied her. Her expensive dress, the subtle but visible stress lines around her eyes. Something wasn't right. As if reading my thoughts, she let out a shaky laugh. Jake and we didn't work out. I almost laughed at the irony. Of course, they didn't. Cheaters never do. He left me, she admitted, forcing a sad smile. Took everything. And well, I guess I realized too late what I lost. She reached out, as if expecting me to take her hand, as if thinking she could waltz back into my life after what she had done. But she had no idea who I had become, and she was about to learn the hard way. I stared at her hand, the same hand that once wore the engagement ring I had worked so hard to buy. The same hand that had betrayed me. I let the silence stretch between us until she finally pulled away, her expression faltering. So, what do you want from me, Emily? I asked, my voice unreadable. She bit her lip. I don't know. Maybe just a chance to talk. To explain. I let out a short, humorless laugh. Explain? What's there to explain? You and Jake made your choice. You chose each other while I was out there breaking my back to build a future for us. Now he's gone, and suddenly, you're here, acting like the past never happened. She flinched at my words. I made a mistake, she admitted. A huge one. I was stupid. I thought we had something real.
But he used me.
And when things got hard, he left. No warning, no goodbye. I smirked. Sounds familiar. She looked down, clearly realizing the irony. I deserve that, she whispered. But I never stopped thinking about you. About us. I watched her carefully, searching for any sign of sincerity. But all I saw was regret. Not for what she did, but for how things turned out for her. She wasn't sorry for betraying me. She was sorry she had lost the security she once had with me. Do you want me to forgive you, Emily? I asked, tilting my head slightly. She nodded, her eyes pleading. I don't expect you to take me back. I want to fix things. Maybe we could start over? I should have walked away. I should have told her to get lost and never look back. But instead, an idea formed in my mind, one that would ensure she truly understood the consequences of her actions. I let out a deep breath, as if considering her words. All right, I said finally. Let's catch up. Her eyes widened with hope. Really? I nodded. Dinner. Tomorrow night. She practically beamed. Yes. That would be amazing. I gave her a smile, but inside, I was already planning my next move. Emily had played me for fool once, but this time I was in control, and I was going to make sure she never forgot it. The next evening, I arrived at one of the most exclusive restaurants in the city. A place where reservations had to be made months in advance, unless, of course, you had the right connections. Emily was already waiting at the table, dressed in an expensive outfit that was meant to impress. She had done her hair and makeup the way she used to when we were together, probably hoping to remind me of the past. But I wasn't the same man who once worshipped her. She smiled when she saw me. I wasn't sure you'd actually come. I smirked, sitting down across from her. Neither was I. She let out a nervous laugh, then reached for the menu. This place is incredible. You've really done well for yourself. I agreed. Life's been good. I could see the way her eyes lingered on me, the way she tried to mask the jealousy in her expression. She thought this was a second chance, a moment where she could ease her way back into my life. She had no idea what was coming. The waiter arrived, and I ordered the most expensive wine on the menu. Emily's eyes widened slightly, but she said nothing. We talked as we ate, but I barely listened to her words. She spun a sob story about how Jake had drained her finances, left her struggling, how she had lost everything. I let her talk, let her think I cared. When dessert arrived, I leaned forward slightly. Emily, do you remember how much I saved for our wedding? She blinked, clearly caught off guard. Yes. You were always so responsible. You planned everything so perfectly. I nodded, swirling my wine. And do you remember what I said back then? About what I valued most in a partner. She hesitated.
Trust.
Loyalty. That's right. I set my glass down. And you threw it all away for Jake. You didn't just betray me, you made a fool out of me. But you see, Emily, I don't let people make a fool of me twice. Her smile slowly faded. What do you mean? I pulled my phone from my pocket, opened an app, and turned the screen toward her. Her face paled as she saw the live stream. Our conversation had been broadcasted online. Thousands of people were watching. I wanted the world to hear your little redemption story, I said smoothly. I thought people should know how easily you jump from one man to the next when it suits you. Her breath caught. Why you recorded this? Of course. Just like you recorded our love and threw it away for something better. I leaned back. The difference is, this time, you don't get to rewrite the ending. Tears welled in her eyes. Please, you don't understand. Oh, I understand perfectly. I stood, tossing a stack of cash onto the table to cover the bill. Enjoy the rest of your night, Emily. I know I will. And with that, I walked out of the restaurant, leaving her sitting there, exposed, humiliated, and exactly where she deserved to be. For the first time in years, I felt truly free.